Who are you, really, beyond labels, expectations, or symptoms? Welcome back. It is great to see you here again. Last time, we talked about the roadmap for this journey, where we are heading and what you can expect. Today, we are diving into the first quadrant, the inner world. When was the last time you really stopped to ask yourself, who am I? It is such a simple question, yet is also a very complex one. For those of us who are neurodiverse, this question can feel tricky because we are often navigating layers of expectations, misunderstandings, and internalized stories about who we are supposed to be. In this session, we will explore what's beneath those layers, your values, emotions, and the unique lens through which you experience the world. Also, I will share my experience as well as some tools and prompts to help you reflect more deeply so you can start creating a more compassionate and empowering narrative about yourself. Let's jump in. In order to understand our identity, we can look into the parts that build it, like values, beliefs, and emotions. Identifying what matters most to you is a powerful first step to reclaiming your narrative, as that, what really matters to you, is what brings meaning to your life. But what do I mean by reclaiming your narrative? Well, values, beliefs, and emotions are connected. They influence each other and set the basis for how we interact with the world. But we are not born with them. We learn them from our families, context, culture, experiences, etc. This is very important because sometimes we live under the shadow of values and beliefs that do not align with our own. And that can be a problem. They can create narratives that might not resonate with us, but due to our context, we just take them as normal. The situation creates tension because deep inside you can feel the discomfort from living your life in a way that seems imposed and not fully yours. I say that you can feel it because our neurodiverse brains can identify patterns and inconsistencies, which is an amazing skill, but sometimes it can feel like a burden. Sometimes we would like to just relax and enjoy our lives. But our brain has a different agenda. It is constantly telling us that something is not right, something is missing, something. And in my experience, that something is the tension between our core values and the life that we are living. Now, we are going to go a bit deeper in this reflection. So to be clear, there is no correct answer here. We all have our unique life experience, and what works for me might not work for you, and that's fine. There is no level of awareness that you should have at this moment whatsoever. We all have our own journey, and you are doing great. Remember my golden rule: be kind to yourself. As I said earlier, values, beliefs, and emotions are connected. They influence each other and then set the basis for how we interact with the world. So let's explore where they come from, how they develop, and how they are connected. Later, through the next sessions, we will see how they connect to our behaviors, culture, and systems around us. So yeah, let's start by talking about values. These are the core principles or standards that guide our decisions, shape our behavior, and give meaning to our lives. They act as a compass, helping us determine what is important and to align our actions with what truly matters to us. Values can take many forms and fall into different categories. Core values, for instance, are deeply ingrained principles that remain central to who we are, like integrity, authenticity, or independence. Then there are personal values, which reflect individual preferences or priorities, such as creativity or adventure, and social values, which influence how we interact with others, like empathy, collaboration, or respect for diversity. Each type of value plays a unique role in how we approach decisions and relationships. values are deeply personal, frequently rooted in early life experiences shaped by family teachings, cultural background, societal norms, and significant personal events. The people and environments we interact with play a major role in defining what we deem important. However, over time, our values evolve based on personal reflections, transformative life experiences, and exposure to new ideas. Additionally, we need to highlight that values are not a universal defined list. Every culture has a different set of values, and every person has their own experience with them. This is why I emphasize that this is about your own personal journey, and respecting each other's journey is fundamental. As values are not fixed, and they are influenced by many factors, the first step is identifying them and understanding their significance in our lives. To illustrate this, I would like to share with you my own experience. I grew up in a society that places immense importance on appearances and what others think about me. In sort of conservative culture with narrow definition of success that is rooted in money, power, and conformity. It is also a place where a systemic racism and inequality run deep. In that context, I internalized values like reputation, material wealth, and social status as markers for worth. These weren't values I consciously chose. They were imposed by the environment I was living in. Despite following the so-called right path like studying, working, earning money, etc., I never truly felt that I belonged. As someone who is queer, neurodiverse, and born into a world that struggled to accept difference, I found little to no space to express my authentic self. My feelings, my perspective, and the way I experience reality often felt like they had no place in the world I grew up in. When I started to move around, everything changed. Suddenly, the societal expectations and reactions towards me were completely different. After living in 4 different countries, where I got exposed to a variety of cultural contexts, questions and challenges about my identity kept resurfacing, pushing me to reflect on where I was placing my sense of self. Migration played a very key role here. As difficult and destabilizing as it can be, made me question who I truly am. I wonder, if I am not defined by my titles, my income, my skin color, or my nationality, then what defines me? This reflection led me to realize that my entire identity had been based on external expectations, which is why I now understand as an ego-based identity. An ego-based identity ties self-worth to external achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. But when those external markers shifted in my new context, my sense of self just crumbled. Rebuilding my identity wasn't easy. After realizing that my sense of self was challenged, I wonder how did it happen, if I ever or if it would be possible to even fix it at some point. There was a lot of confusion, and I could see that only external things change, but at the same time, I felt deeply affected in my inner world. At some point, I reached a conclusion. If I am so affected by external changes, maybe it's because I put all my value on external factors that I cannot really control, and that just doesn't feel right. But then, where should I put it? What is my identity? And interestingly enough, I also start to ask, where is it? To reflect on this, I ask myself questions like, am I my titles? Am I my money? My clothes? The language I speak? What about my passport? My ethnicity? My body? I realize that those are things that I have, do, use, etc., but not who I am. Later, I concluded that it felt very difficult to place my sense of self in a physical place, whether inside or outside my body. It rather feels more logical that I am the consciousness that experiences this reality through this body. This approach gave me agency over my circumstances, showing me that I am not what I have, what I do, or the things that happen to me. Instead, I am the consciousness of it all. Hence, I do have the power to choose how to connect or to make use of my circumstances. I concluded that I am possibilities. Funny enough, after some time, when sharing this reflection with my mom, she suggested that I should read the book The Man's Search for Meaning from Viktor Frankl. When I read it, I discovered that the author reached more or less the same conclusion. And that was a nice validating feeling, to be honest. So I really recommend you to read that book. Anyhow, following that perspective, I started to look at myself as someone capable of learning, unlearning, and evolving. It was a moment of clarity that allowed me to challenge the values I had unconsciously absorbed from my upbringing and to explore what truly matters to me. Throughout this exploration, I uncovered my real core values: courage, world improvement, creativity, and curiosity. Reflecting on these, I noticed the tension between the values I grew up with and the ones that I had now unpacked. The values of reputation, material wealth, and social status felt restrictive and rooted in fear of not being enough or fear of not meeting societal expectations. In contrast, my new core values felt expansive, aligned with growth, authenticity, and possibility. With this newfound clarity, I began aligning my personal and professional life with my core values, developing complementary professional values like creativity, authenticity, and empowerment for projects like this one. Creativity drives everything I do. It is the spark that allows for new ideas and solutions. Authenticity is about showing up as your true self and encouraging people to do the same, while empowerment is a result of the other two, creating space for people to take charge of their own lives and thrive. These values form the foundation of this work and guide every aspect of my approach. Now, we have touched on values, so take a moment to think about what truly matters to you. On this page, you will find an exercise to help you reflect more deeply and clarify your core values. When you are ready, join me in the next video as we explore beliefs and how to shape your view of the world.